Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Got some LSU to talk about here in this hour. We'll also dip into some Tiger basketball as they'll travel to College Station to take on Texas A&M tomorrow. 3 o'clock tip-off for conference play. I'm excited to watch that one. I've got some thoughts on it as well, so we'll get to that. The transfer portal's open. All the reports that you've seen the last 3 weeks about this guy's going in the portal, that guy's going in the portal, you can't officially go in the portal until today. Actually, 11 o'clock last night. So now visits are happening. You're going to start to see commitments and guys changing places. And the visits have cranked up. And Pete Thamel from ESPN reported earlier today that Brendan Sorsby, who is the number one player in the transfer portal according to ESPN, has a couple of visits set up. You're thinking, well, who is Brendan Sorsby? Tell me about him. I'll do that. He is the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bearcats. He started his college career in 2022 at Indiana. He was the backup in 2022. In 2023, he played, threw for 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns, then transferred to Cincinnati for the 2024 season. He's been Cincinnati's starter for the last 2 seasons. Both years, he threw for almost exactly 2,800 yards. Last season, he threw for 2,813. This year, threw for 2,800 on the number. So, remarkable consistency there, 13-yard disparity over 2 years. This year, though, played his best ball. 27 touchdowns and 5 interceptions for Sorsby as the quarterback at Cincinnati. He's got 1 more year of eligibility left. He's 6'3", 235 pounds. He's also a dual-threat guy. He had success running the ball each of the last 2 seasons. This past year, he ran for 580 yards and 9 touchdowns. And I saw an interesting statistic today on him. In 6 different games, he had at least 1 run of 20 yards. I watched his film on YouTube. He is a good athlete. He's got good size. He's got a good arm. And he kind of looks the part of a Lane Kiffin quarterback. There are similarities. They're not similar players to a T, but there are similarities in Matt Corral, Jackson Dart, Trinidad Chambliss, and Sorsby. Not 6'5", not necessarily the most dynamic athlete, although Chambliss is. I wouldn't say Dart is, and certainly wouldn't say Corral is, but not gunslinging, huge arm, enough arm, and mobile, maybe a touch undersized, and just can make every play on the field, whether it's with his arm or his legs. And Sorsby certainly fits into that category. He's going to visit Texas Tech today. That's Friday. And then at some point this weekend, it was unclear where in Thamel's reporting, he will go from Lubbock to Baton Rouge. That's his plan. He's a Denton, Texas native, so from the state of Texas. And you understand when you get into a competition with Texas Tech, there is significant money being thrown around. Texas Tech is chucking money around, and they spent a ton of money on this team that was good, and then they ran up against a buzzsaw in Oregon, and they couldn't score any points because their quarterback was not a great player. And don't think that those oil dudes over in Texas aren't going, we got to get somebody that can play quarterback. And according to ESPN, this is the best guy in the portal that can play quarterback. So you're in a financial war with Texas Tech there. You've got your advantages over Texas Tech. You've got playing time right there available. You've got the big LSU brand. You've got the big fancy stadium. You've got the hot coach. You've got that whole deal. Texas Tech just came off a conference championship. They were in the college football playoff. So there's some cachet there as well, and there's money involved. If you just want to talk about on the football field, I think this would be a phenomenal addition for Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss Jr., and this LSU offense. I think that you would have a difference maker at the quarterback spot. And there are 2 positions that LSU has to address in a huge way in this portal cycle. You know what they are. It's not a secret. It's offensive line and it's quarterback. I don't think it's in that order. I think it's quarterback and then offensive line. But they are massive, massive needs. And Brendan Sorsby would be a huge get for LSU. Now, I know everyone watched that game last night and is going, I want Trinidad Chambliss. Well, there's 2 things different there. 1, he's not in the portal. 2, he's not guaranteed to have another year of college eligibility. And the NCAA is, in my opinion, dragging its feet here. They haven't made a ruling. And I got asked earlier today, like, what's the timeline? I don't know if there is one. Like, Trinidad Chambliss was asked about it earlier this week, and he was like, yeah, I don't know. I'm confident I'm going to get the year, but I don't know when it's going to happen. Well, you can't just sit there and wait on something that may or may not happen. Maybe Trinidad Chambliss does get another year, and maybe he goes in the transfer portal, and maybe he comes to LSU. These are all maybes, and all three of the maybes have to fall your way for him to come to Baton Rouge. If he doesn't get another year, he's not coming to Baton Rouge. If he doesn't go in the portal, he's not coming to Baton Rouge. If he goes somewhere else, he's not coming to Baton Rouge. So you got to be aggressive. And if I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm Charlie Weiss Jr., I'm looking at Brendan Sorsey, and if he wants to come to LSU, I can't wait on Trinidad Chambliss. I got to take him. I'll take both of them. You want to come and compete, Trinidad? You came to Ole Miss as a backup, and Austin Simmons got hurt, and then you balled out, and you got the job, and now you're going to be a rich dude. But I can't just sit there and wait. You have to be aggressive. LSU has one quarterback on the roster right now, Michael Van Buren. One. You got to go get quarterbacks. And to me, Sorsby looks like a dude. It's a weird time that everybody's got to get their arms around, that the days of hoping the next five-star quarterback comes are kind of over. And you can find a really good player anywhere. Like, I'm betting a lot of you driving around listening to me right now don't know where Fernando Mendoza played college football last year. Don't know where he played 2 years ago. And I know none of you had heard of Trinidad Chambliss 4 months ago. No one. I would be willing to bet, weird bet, willing to bet, that no one outside of maybe Super Talk Mississippi mentioned Trinidad Chambliss for the week we were in SEC Media Days in August. Ferris State backup, whatever. And there was a long time where if you were LSU, like, where's the next four-star quarterback coming from that we're going to pin our hopes to? Well, now you go in the portal in Cincinnati, Ferris State, Arizona State, Washington State, Georgia Tech, wherever, go get one. And I think it's time for LSU to pounce. And if they can get Sorsby to campus, I think they've got a shot to land him. The issue would be if Sorsby goes to Lubbock, sees the offer, and doesn't get on a plane to Baton Rouge, right? As long as you get the visit, you've got a really good chance because you make the second impression. You make potentially the last impression. I don't know what his plans are beyond that. I don't know what his timeline is to make a decision, but I do feel like in watching the highlights of Brendan Sorsby, looking at the profile of the player and understanding what Lane Kiffin's offense is, this is a guy who's got enough arm, who's got tons of experience, 3 years as a starter, who can run and throw, and has been really, really productive and has 1 year to play. If I'm breaking down this race and I'm breaking down a quarterback, like, I want Trinidad Chambliss. I was in the Superdome last night. That guy is a dog. He's so quick, so fast, so agile, now has big game experience under his belt, and clearly vibes well with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. I want that guy at LSU bad. Be great. But if any of those dominoes don't break LSU's way and he can't come to Baton Rouge, Sorsby looks pretty attractive to me. I would put Sorsby significantly ahead of DJ Lagway on any list that I was putting together. I think Sam Levitt's got some ability, but I would put Sorsby ahead of Levitt because Levitt is hurt. So I just, that's a risk if you're going to grab him. I'm looking at this portal cycle. I'm looking at quarterback. Sorsby looks like a dude to me. ESPN says he's the best quarterback in the portal, best player in the portal. I have no reason not to believe that. This guy with a ton of experience can make plays. LSU needs to get him to Baton Rouge from Lubbock first and then get something done. And if you've got Brendan Sorsby in your portal class in the next 72 hours, in the next week, that's a big, big get for LSU. Your defense is going to have a lot of continuity. You've got guys coming back on that side of the football. You've got your coordinator. You've got to overhaul this offense. You've got your staff in place. You got to get quarterbacks. You got to get offensive linemen. You've got to get running backs and wide receivers as well. But quarterback is paramount on the field. And Sorsby looks like a dude to me. I hope LSU can land him. That would be an exciting get for Lane Kiffin and kind of change the outlook of 2026. That's a look at LSU in the transfer portal. We'll do some more LSU football talk coming up here in 15 minutes. LSU 12-1 on the hardwood. It gets real starting tomorrow, and A&M is a fascinating team to look at. My view of LSU and Texas A&M on the hardwood coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is a big, big deal in the bathroom, especially as folks age. If there's some folks in your life that are aging that want to stay home, but you feel like the bathroom could be a hazardous spot for them, well, you can't take that risk away completely, but you can mitigate against it. Put in non-slip floors. Put in handrails in tricky areas. Put in a walk-in tub for convenience, comfort, safety. Put in a shower with a bench in it so that things are a little bit safer in a slippery area. All those things are perfectly within the course and scope of work that One Bath and Closets puts together. Have that sit down with David. It's free, just to have a consultation. He'll tell you what they can do. He'll give you their financing options, and he can make those safety enhancements to a bathroom pretty quickly here in 2026. Check them out online, onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We're going to get back to LSU because there's drama with LSU and Ole Miss coaches and how long realistically these coaches can go coach Ole Miss in the playoff and then come back to Baton Rouge and work on the portal and then go back and game plan for Miami and come back into the portal. And then there's going to be a tampering charge filed by Ole Miss as well. So we'll talk about that in 15 minutes. But I do want to take a little bit of time to talk about LSU and Texas A&M in basketball tomorrow. I know that a lot of you probably have not paid much attention to LSU's basketball team. That doesn't draw a lot of eyeballs, a lot of earbuds in November and December around here, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on it. But I have hopes that LSU is an NCAA tournament team this year. Y'all know I love LSU's basketball team. I love watching them play, and I know that they play somewhere down the line in terms of the fiddle here in town. It's a football town that loves its baseball. And certainly women's basketball has had a great run. Gymnastics has its spot here as well, and the Saints are a monster. And LSU men's basketball just doesn't get a ton of pub, and I understand that. But I love watching them play, and I want them to get back into the tournament. I think it's great when they are a relevant team in February and into March, and they have not been more often than not in my life. And this team has gotten off to a good start. They're 12-1, but you haven't faced the gauntlet of SEC play. So before the ball ever gets thrown up in an SEC game, not one has tipped off yet. I'm going to get out in front of this a little bit, okay? This LSU team is going to get blasted in 1, 2, or 3 of these SEC games. There's 18 of them. I don't think LSU is a great defensive team, and there are just some nights where you're not throwing it in the ocean and the other team is, and you get dusted. It doesn't happen to the best of the best in the league, but LSU's not the best of the best in the league. So it might be Saturday. It might be somewhere down the line, maybe Arkansas, Kentucky, Florida, Bama. Like in one of these 18, 2 of these 18, 3 of these 18, LSU's going to get crushed. But it's only one. And by the same token, they're going to play some good games. You're talking about a team that has really played well in some of these games. I thought they played great against SMU. Thought they played great in their final non-conference game against Southern Miss. They played awesome against DePaul. And they'll do that a couple times in league play as well. But it's all part of the big picture as you get into conference play. There are 18 of these things, and LSU's got to try to find a way to split the difference. If you go 9-9 in the league, you are in the tournament. 8-10, I think, is questionable. You win 7, I have a hard time thinking that because the non-conference slate was so weak that you're going to get in. But right around 500. So even if you get blasted in 3 of these things, you got 15 other ones you got to take care of. So I'm not going to quit on this team based on a result here or there. It's a long grind. And you've got some margin for error that you've created by yourself because you played well enough in the non-conference against a very weak schedule. But it's time to go. So you'll start with Texas A&M. And, buddy, has Texas A&M overhauled its identity on the basketball court? Y'all know what the Buzz Williams teams looked like while he was there. And they were good. They had a good run while Buzz Williams was there. But it was physical. It was tough. They dominated on the offensive glass. They ground teams to a pace. They couldn't shoot worth a lick But they were physical, tough, played defense, and rebounded like crazy. That was Buzz Williams. And he left, went to Maryland, and now you got Bucky Ball. Bucky McMillan comes in. This ain't tough and physical. This is high flying. The comparison I made in my preview piece on LouisianaSports.net into what the transformation has been like from A&M, from Buzz Williams to Bucky McMillan. It's like a Bill Snyder Kansas State offensive team, just rough and tough. Colin Klein going to be physical and tough and big junior college guys, to Chip Kelly, Oregon. Whee! They're just going nuts. Texas A&M plays at a breakneck pace. You're talking about a team that is in third nationally in points per game. They lead the nation in assists per game. They play the 8th most possessions in the game. They are top 20 in the country in threes attempted. They get the ball, they go. They are flying. And LSU likes to do that under Matt McMahon. Matt McMahon prefers to get up and down. And I think LSU will try to get up and down with Texas A&M on Saturday. And they certainly outran SMU in New Orleans. SMU goes and plays really fast as well, and LSU outran them. And so I think they'll probably try to do that with Texas A&M. I would caution LSU about that a little bit. I don't want it to be a completely breakneck pace back and forth with this Texas A&M team. And this is De'Don Thomas's job. He's got to know when you've got numbers, when you push, and when you need to chill out. Because A&M just wants to fly. If I'm LSU, I'm getting into the half court. I'm throwing the ball down to Michael Nwoku. I'm going to make Texas A&M play defense. Texas A&M wants to go play offense. Go, go, go. I'm making them play defense. I'm throwing it to Nwoku. I'm letting De'Don Thomas bleed some clock in the shot clock. I'm playing a little bit slower. We'll see. I think they're going to run. And I think the game's going to be up and down. But I think if LSU is going to win this game, you got a better chance of winning at 74-72 than you do 91-88. I don't want to play Texas A&M in a 91-88 game. This is a Texas A&M team that wants to shoot threes. They are 16th in the country in threes attempted, and they're 29th in percentage of them made, in three-point percentage. So for the volume of threes they put up, they shoot them well. There is a moniker that you well know. Live by the three, die by the three, right? Well, Texas A&M's died by the three some. They were 9 out of 35 against Oklahoma State, and they got smashed. Oklahoma State wore them out up in Stillwater. They played Central Florida, and they lost that game, and they went 9 for 29. That's 31%. But then they went to Florida State, and they beat Florida State by 36. They were 15 of 34 from downtown. That's 44%. So it's a make-and-miss sport, right? And sometimes A&M doesn't make them, and they get beat. And sometimes they go in, and they're a handful. They've got Ruben Dominguez. He is shooting 47% from three on 96 attempts. He's 45 out of 96. He's getting buckets. You got to guard him. Rylan Griffin, Pop Isaacs, both guys that play on the perimeter, they're shooting better than 40% from three. They got real shooters. And what do we know about LSU? They let Texas Tech get hot from three. They let Prairie View get hot from three. You got to run them off the three-point line. You cannot allow open looks in their gym at their pace. Slow it down, defend the three. Big statistic in this game that I'm looking at, the free throw line. LSU is 7th in the country in free throws attempted. A&M is 14th. These two teams are in the top 15 in the country in getting free throws. LSU is not going to go out to the three-point line and light it up against Texas A&M. They're not going to compete at the three-point line like Texas A&M can. But you've got to win the foul line. Have to win the foul line for sure. Paramount in this game, win the foul line. This is a tough assignment for LSU. Not a game they'll be picked to win. You're going on the road. You're facing a team that's really high-flying. But it is an opportunity. There are teams significantly better than Texas A&M in the SEC. This is probably an A&M team that is in the middle of the pack of the SEC. So it's an opportunity. All's not lost if LSU goes there and loses. It's not all lost if they get blown out. But if you win, it's a great chance. You look at LSU's SEC schedule, and the first two games, I think, are pretty manageable. It's an interesting start that LSU gets off to here, and what I think is an SEC that's down a little bit from where it was last year. But you look at LSU, and they start conference play at A&M, who I think is pretty good, middle of the pack. But you continue on this schedule and you come home Tuesday and you play a game you desperately need to win. You've got to beat South Carolina. They're not very good. And then you're at Vanderbilt, who's ranked 11th in the country. That's a game that you're going to struggle to win. Then Kentucky comes to the PMAC. That's a game you're going to struggle to win. So there's games 3 and 4 are really difficult. Games 1 and 2 are doable at A&M and South Carolina. LSU must get one of these first two. Have to get one of these first two. Can be in College Station, can be at home against South Carolina. You go 0-2, you're staring 0-4 right down the face, and now you've lost your margin for error. You start 1-1. Even if you go 1-3, it's not ideal, but you're still in the mix. But you've got road trips coming to Florida and Arkansas, and that's a bear. And you could get behind the 8 ball here pretty quickly. And our conversation starts going away from can they make the NCAA tournament to a completely different conversation if you stumble out of the blocks in league play. Right? We know. We're familiar with this whole deal. So for me, got to get one of these first two. So I'm telling you here on this Friday as they go to College Station, it's a game that you got a chance to win. You won't be picked to win. But if you lose on Saturday, you come back Tuesday, that is as close to a must-win in week number 1 of SEC play as you can find. Because South Carolina is not good, and it's on your floor. I think this LSU team's a little bit different. I think De'Don Thomas makes them different. I think Michael Nwoku's unlocked a different piece to his game. I think Markell Sutton's an SEC big that fits in. I think Max McKinnon is a good piece when he's knocking down shots. I think you've got a little bit of depth, and I think you're a very skilled offensive team. Let's see if they can go to College Station and find a way to get a win. Because if you start 2-0, beat Texas A&M, and then you come home and beat South Carolina, now all of a sudden we can really have that conversation. You're probably a ranked basketball team if you do that. But that's not really of concern. I'm just trying to get in the tournament. Getting there requires 9 wins and 18 shots. You get your first one on Saturday in College Station against a team that wants to run. Hopefully LSU can slow it down a little bit over there at Reed Arena. All right, that's a look at hoops. Let's go back to football. Ole Miss has LSU coaches coaching them in the playoffs. There are reports flying around. There are rumors flying around. There are things happening. What needs to happen in the next day or two? We'll talk about it when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Highland Insurance Group. HighlandIG.com is that website. HighlandIG.com. Commercial property and casualty is their bread and butter over there at the Highland Insurance Group. If you're a business owner and you have rising insurance costs that are untenable and they're hurting the bottom line, have you looked at a captive? The Highland Insurance Group looks at them every day. Not every broker is educated in the captive space. Not every broker has access to captives. The Highland Insurance Group does. They're independent and they know how to handle it. So if you have good loss history and you have good risk management and you want a different option when it comes to your commercial insurance, contact the Highland Insurance Group. Talk to Jonathan. Say, hey, I heard about it on Hunt's show. I'd like to talk about the captive. He's happy to have that discussion with you. They handle group employee benefits as well. Handle property and casualty. 2026, if you're looking to make a change in your insurance program as a business owner, as a risk manager, as a CFO, the Howard Insurance Group needs to be your next phone call. Check them out on the website, HighlandIG.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Check out the menu online, corksfishandshrimp.com, corksfishandshrimp.com. Crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp, shoestring fries. They've also got delicious baked potatoes that you can cover with that crawfish etouffee. Put a couple fried shrimp on the top of that as well. They're on government between Foster and Jefferson. That's Corks, bringing our Friday shows each and every week. If you've been with us for an hour and a half, I appreciate that very much. I know that most of you have not. Audience rolls over every 10, 12 minutes or so. We know some of y'all hang out for a little bit longer, and you know, if you have been here for an hour and a half, that I was in the Dome last night for Ole Miss and Georgia, and I just had a blast. It was so much fun to watch the best of college athletics. And I told you in that segment that man, when they get between the lines and it's a big game and that dome is full and it's split, down the middle, and you've got the biggest moment in Ole Miss football recent history and Georgia chasing another natty, and you've got fan bases that are motivated, that within driving distance, that have filled that dome to the brim. It's just an incredible spectacle and a great thing to be a part of, and I was thrilled to be there just as a fan without any work responsibility whatsoever. And it was great to see the best of college sports. But in that segment, I told you that there are some things that go on in college sports that are pretty silly. Like, I think it's pretty silly for a coaching staff to have to negotiate 90 contracts in 2 weeks with every player on the roster. I think it's silly that you've got players who were a freshman at LSU this past season that did not contribute in any meaningful way that are posting on Instagram that they're coming back to LSU after playing for LSU this year. I think that's silly. And it is undeniably silly that Ole Miss's coach was essentially coerced into leaving his job for LSU while doing the thing that the job was designed to do. The job of football coach is designed to win games so you can get to the playoff and compete for a championship. And Lane Kiffin was doing that job, and then LSU said, we need a head coach. And he said, well, I want to take that job, but I want to coach this team. And everyone involved said, no, that's not going to happen. Almost like, I don't think so. Get out. But then the coaches that he took from Ole Miss, 6 of them, did go back to Ole Miss. And now they're coaching in the playoff. But Lane Kiffin can't coach in the playoff. He's got to be in Baton Rouge working the portal, but we need an offensive staff. We're at Ole Miss. We're trying to beat for a championship. We need these guys to call plays, coach the offense. Okay, well, they're doing that. And they've done that since he took the job at the end of November. Well, we're now into January, and they've won 2 playoff games. And these guys are spending time in Oxford, game planning for Georgia. Then they're going down to LSU to handle the high school signing class and then handle the transfer portal. And they're going back to Oxford to fly to New Orleans to coach the game. And they leave New Orleans where they've won the game. They're in the national semifinal. They're in the Final Four. They got a shot to win a natty. And they don't leave New Orleans to go back to Oxford, the team. They go to Baton Rouge because that's who's paying them. And that's where they need to be. Well, that's very silly. It's just silly. And apparently, it's not going to continue much longer. Ross Dellinger at Yahoo has reported that people in Oxford don't believe it's viable for these coaches to be with the Ole Miss program anymore. And Matt Moscona has reported for LouisianaSports.net that people he's talking to with LSU don't believe it's tenable either. Ole Miss is putting together a case for tampering. It's levied against Lane Kiffin. They believe he has illegally pursued current Ole Miss players to come to LSU. And their case gets weaker when the NCAA goes, well, wait a second. You're concerned that LSU is trying to poach your players, yet you're allowing willingly LSU coaches to come coach your team. You're allowing LSU in the facility, but then you're telling me that LSU is tampering. Wait a second. Which is it? Their case gets weaker, right? So now you've come to a fork in the road. And it sounds like, from Ross's reporting, from Matt's reporting, that Ole Miss is going to go play this bowl game against another Final Four team. They're going to go play Miami in Arizona, and I don't think Charlie Weiss is going to be there, and I don't think George McDonald's going to be there, and I don't think Joe Cox is going to be there. You've got 6 staffers on the offensive side that I don't think are going to travel for that. And I think that's what's going to have to happen because LSU now is into 2026, and you're bringing in a transfer quarterback this weekend. Like this weekend, you've got Brendan Sorsby coming in. He could be the most important piece to your operation next year. He's your potential quarterback. You cannot have 6 offensive staffers getting ready for Thursday's game against Miami in Oxford. You can't have that. You have to recruit this kid. And if you're Ole Miss and you're trying to get ready for this game, you can't have your offensive staff recruiting for LSU and not game planning for a ridiculous Miami defense. It just doesn't work. Keith Carter, the Ole Miss AD, was asked last night after the biggest win of his Ole Miss life, hey, you going to have any offensive staffers for that game against Miami? And he just said, I don't know. I don't know. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to celebrate this win. And that's all these non-answers that we've gotten are the answer. The non-answer means it's a thing we can't say. Lane, you going to be here at Ole Miss next year? I don't want to talk about that. Well, I know. No, you're not going to be there. Hey, Keith, are these guys going to coach you? I don't want to talk about that. No, they're not. They can't. They have a job to do in Baton Rouge. It's silly. It is stupid. It's ridiculous. And I'm saying that with full understanding that these guys are going to help LSU by recruiting, and they're going to hurt Ole Miss by not being there. Charlie Weiss has called the plays all year for this team. He's not going to be calling plays against Miami. I don't think it's going to happen. That's what the feeling is. And Ross and Matt are talking to people in both buildings that are saying this can't go on. It's just not sustainable. So this is a huge storyline for this week in both towns. LSU is going to be bringing in offensive guys. They got to go get offensive linemen. They got to go get quarterbacks. They got to host recruits. And Ole Miss has got to go play. So we'll cross the Trinidad Chambliss Bridge when we get there. We'll cross the Kewan Lacey Bridge when we get there. We'll cross the Winston Watkins Road when we get here. But this isn't going to work. And it sounds like that's going to come to a head, I believe, this weekend is what it sounds like based on what Ross and Matt are suggesting. So you're going to have an Ole Miss team that's going to go play the biggest game of their lives, of their program's existence in the last 60 years. And they're going to do it probably with a new look offensive staff. They brought in the offensive coordinator from East Carolina about 3 weeks ago, right? He's been at practice. Maybe he's the guy that takes the reins. Maybe it's Joe Judge, who's going to stay at Ole Miss. He's on Pete Golding's staff. He's been an NFL head coach. He's been a play caller before. Maybe he takes the reins, but it just doesn't feel like Charlie Weiss, Joe Cox, George McDonald, that group of people is going to be able to go with Ole Miss. This is the craziest story. Because for years and years and years, coordinators have been leaving for other jobs. It worked out for LSU and Bo Pelini. It worked out for Jim McElwain in Alabama. Like, they were leaving for head coaching jobs. Pelini went to Nebraska. McElwain, I think, went to Colorado State. They made those decisions in December, but they coached that one game in early January to win a national championship. Well, now those games are drawn out till January the 19th, and there's a transfer portal window right there on the front end of January you've got to be active in. So if you ask me, that was the end of the line for that offensive staff at Ole Miss. I don't know. I can't tell you what the impact is going to be on Ole Miss's play on the field on Thursday. I don't know. But this whole song and dance where we got 1 foot in Oxford and 1 foot in Baton Rouge, it's got to stop. And I think it stops pretty quickly. And that is a wild story. And it is going to ignite the energy of that Ole Miss fan base once again, because this is such an awkward time for them where it's the best run any of them ever seen. And there's so much turmoil going on behind the scenes. I don't know what the result of the tampering charges is going to be. But you look kind of weak when you bring those allegations and you're letting LSU coaches in the building. I think Ole Miss knows that. I don't blame them for it. They're trying to win. The best chance they have to win is to have those guys that have been coaching all year coach, as opposed to brand new guys or analysts stepping up. I get it, but it's just it's a bizarre time that we're in. We'll see what the result of all of that is. You can read Ross's stuff at Yahoo, and there's a new story up for free that Matt just wrote from an airplane on LouisianaSports.net, talking about his understanding of what is next for these LSU and Ole Miss assistants. So we got one segment left to go for the week. Been a quick week with a break right in there in the middle. Hope everybody's having a happy new year. Come back and close it out with us. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You've done business with the Fabry family. You're familiar with the Fabry family. They've been in business for 35 years here in Baton Rouge. Talking about 3 locations, 5 brands. Now, very, very proud to be a part of the Chevrolet GMC family on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Under new ownership since October the 1st. Got a huge inventory of new and pre-owned vehicles you can check out online at FabryChevrolet.com, or make the short drive up to St. Francisville and check it out with your own eyes. It's a new year. If you want a new ride, how about a Chevy Tahoe? How about Chevy Silverado, looking for a truck? How about a GMC Sierra, GMC Yukon, Denali, looking for an SUV? No better spot than to check out Fabry Chevrolet GMC. And they also service every make, every model in their service department. It doesn't have to be a Chevy, doesn't have to be a GMC, doesn't have to be bought from Fabry. Whatever, if you got an issue, you're up there in St. Francisville, go on in and check out their great service department as well. Online at FabryChevrolet.com. It's FabryChevrolet.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
I really hope Trinidad Chambliss is LSU's quarterback next year. Just wanted to put that out there in this segment. I don't think that's tampering. I don't work. Well, I technically kind of do work for LSU.
You kind of do work for LSU, so you might want to watch out, man.
Don't turn me into the NCAA.
What to say?
They can't. I mean, by the time they rule on whether or not it's tampering for me, it'll be 30 years down the road. They can't do anything in a remotely timely fashion. But man, as I said in the first segment today, that dude, watching him in person in the Dome, that was absurd. I mean, he's so fast, so quick. There were so many times last night where he started running, and I'm expecting, this is Georgia. I mean, I'm looking at the red jerseys, the black G. I know they got dudes on defense that are fast and big and strong and can go. And he just kept getting the corner on him. He just kept getting there. And then the throws he's making, he dropped it in the bucket on that 40-yarder. I don't know how they let him get behind him, but it's a great throw. Guy was just a boss last night. And I vividly remember sitting in this chair exactly right here. And I said before LSU played Ole Miss, I was like, they're going to start this Chambliss guy. Like, yeah, nice job against Kentucky, whatever. This LSU defense, they went to Clemson. They put the clamps on them. They got dudes. Like, this guy's never seen anything like this at Ferris State. And LSU got him to go 3 and out on the first drive. And I was like, We got you, boss. Well, guess what? I'm an idiot. As usual.
Nah, man, look. Whoa, hold on. You can't say that because he wasn't even a starting quarterback.
No.
What are you about to say? So
Austin Simmons out there chucking it around, throwing 4 picks in 2 games.
Exactly. So, no, you don't say that because obviously they didn't see it either. Or, they're doing the whole transfer portal politics. They paid this guy NIL money, so we got to let him play first. But Trinidad is amazing.
Are they going to win the national championship?
We can't allow that to happen.
I'd be real bummed out.
Hunt, by any means necessary.
You know how, I mean, I'm just going all out with this analogy now. I talked to a few people about it yesterday and down in New Orleans. Like, I'm going with the club analogy. I'm in the club. I'm in the penthouse up at the top. I'm hanging out with Clemson. Bama's here. Georgia's here. Michigan, Ohio State hanging out. Auburn gets a seat at the table. They got a natty in the last 15 years. They also played for another one against Jameis Winston. Like, they can hang out. They're good. But it's a pretty exclusive club.
Very.
No Cal Bears in here. Don't have any Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Texas Tech's not invited. Georgia Tech can't come in either.
Penn State can still get in? It's been a minute.
Penn State,
okay,
you're
it's been
out.
a minute.
You're out. That's no good. But I'm in the club. I cannot be sitting here sipping my cocktail in the penthouse up top and have Ole Miss saunter in here and act like they belong in my club. I can't have it. I won't have it.
They're knocking at the door.
But I'm getting somebody in the club because, like, Oregon hadn't won, and they're here. Indiana,
yeah.
What are they wearing in the club? Shirtless?
Nah, candy cane.
Did you see Signetti yesterday?
Yeah.
My man had on a quarter zip.
Nothing.
No undershirt.
Nothing. I'm talking just zipper to chest.
This
hair.
guy is either a robot or a witch or something.
Well, Hunt, I mean, you watch the game. You've seen every time they pan to him, it's like he was in the most deep thought I've ever seen in my life. Like, the eyebrow just like him just like scowling around like he's just coming up with something diabolical. So, no, it fits actually for Signetti.
Indiana, Oregon, Ole Miss, and Miami. Miami still probably, Miami's in the club. 0-1, okay, they're already in. So I may not have to add to the reservation here, but I cannot have Ole Miss sitting at my table. I got A&M kicked to the curb. They can go back down to the outhouse, but
it was close. They wanted it so bad.
I saw that bracket and I went, okay, A&M and Ole Miss are going to have to deal with Ohio State and Georgia. Those are my dudes. I hang out with them in the club all the time. They're not letting anybody in. They're the bouncers. Those are the enforcers in the club.
You're right.
They're gone. They're out. And that's a bad scene. So now I need this Miami defensive line to go nuts. But the problem is, and we'll break this game down next week, like, can they even get to Chambliss? Or is he going to freaking run around and do something crazy?
I want to say he's not, but then he just showed us against Georgia that he is like that. Now, I like Bain. I can't remember what the other guy name is, but he's really good too. They just
they're
nasty.
Bully people.
They're nasty. But,
they lost to Louisville. It's because Carson Beck threw 4 picks. That cannot happen
by any means, man.
All right, let's play Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
There's a Flight by Yingling waiting on me at home. It's like the 942nd day in a row that I've had a cocktail, so we'll do that again tonight. If you're looking for a cold beer, something refreshing, Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer, 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. Looking for that light beer with a great flavor? You know Yingling's got that. Grab a Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer.
Okay, we're going to stick on to the college football playoffs as it has not been very kind to teams that have earned a first-round bye.
No.
So teams with a first-round bye are now 1-7 in the new bracket format as Ole Miss upset Georgia 30, the score last night. You was there in person on Thursday. So are byes overrated? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. You want the bye. You don't want to play.
Just leave it alone.
But we changed the format because Boise State got a bye.
Yeah.
Okay, so we looked at that and went, well, this
is
is goofy. So I don't put a ton of stock into that. Texas is going to beat Arizona State. Penn State's going to beat Boise State. That's going to happen. This year, you're looking at a situation where that's a big win for Ole Miss that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. I certainly did not see Miami coming to get Ohio State, but I don't think that the rust hurt them. If they want to move the college football playoff up in January, up in December, I'm all for that. Not to have the month off because we're getting to the portal window and it's just weird because what we're talking about. So if they want to move it up, that's fine. But I'm never going to say buys are overrated. If you get a chance not to play, don't play.
All right, so Cam Coleman, a 5-star receiver from Auburn, is being rumored. So to get his services out of the portal is going to cost you around $4 million, and it's been said that he has a visit with Texas later this week. Well, I guess going into next week. So $4 million for a receiver. Take it or leave it.
If you got it, take it.
I'll take it.
That's the thing is that I know how much money the Saints have to spend. I know exactly how much they can spend on everything. I don't know what the heck's going on in college football.
We really don't.
I don't know what comes from. I was listening to Barstool podcast today, and they got a guy that played offensive line for Indiana last year. It was a middling player, was never going to be an NFL guy, and he got $300K. So I guess that's the going rate for just a run-of-the-mill starter. You get a former 5-star who's a beast, and it sounds like Cam Coleman's looking very hard at Texas and Texas A&M.
Yeah, But
LSU plays both those teams next year, so whatever.
Oh, wow, we do. But, hey, man, look, to see how Arch was looking, I get it. You want to go there with Texas, I get it. And, they're going to pay you. So,
do you see Arch was the fastest quarterback documented this year by the stats, Next Gen Stats?
Really?
Fastest QB, hit the top speed of any quarterback this year.
Wow. He is. He's certainly a Manning, to say the least. Yeah, he's certainly a Manning.
He got his dad and grandfather's speed.
Oh,
Eli and Peyton just missed that boat. They got Olivia's speed somehow.
I think Arch could probably run 100. He probably could run 100 faster than they probably could tie their shoes. He was moving, man. He showed me a lot against Michigan. So last but not least, Trayvon Diggs was the last time we was here. We talked about Diggs being released. So he actually was picked off the waivers by the Green Bay Packers. He was claimed, and this move only cost the Packers $472,000.
Yeah.
Plus, deal with the contract because they picked him off of waivers. So is Diggs going to make a difference for the Packers in this playoff run? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. It's a decent chance to try to add depth, see if you can catch lightning in a bottle. The knock on Diggs is that yes, he does get those pick sixes he used to get, but he also gets burned. So it's a risk reward deal. He'll add some depth. Do I think he's going to be necessarily a plug and play starter? I think that's up for debate. But it's worth a shot. I don't begrudge the Packers for going to make that happen. So we'll see. That's it for Take It or Leave It. All right, I'm going to try my hand at pickleball tonight. How do we feel that's going to go?
Are you feeling loose?
No, I feel old and out of shape.
Well, I don't like that at all.
But, I haven't played tennis in years, and I haven't played ping pong in a while, and I've never played pickleball.
Okay.
But we're going to go out there and see what we can do. We got a dink, whatever. Might mosey my way over to the bar. That's probably more realistic.
Hey, you're starting to mix too many outside factors with the game, man. You can't be not loose and be drinking. That's just a recipe. That's a recipe for disaster.
That's what's going to happen.
Just stretch, and we'll everything else is going to work itself out.
We'll see how it goes. A full report on my pickleball ability coming on Monday's show.
Okay.
All right, that's it for us. You missed any of the show, you can catch it on demand. I recapped the Sugar Bowl, talked to LSU portal, talked to LSU quarterback, and got you ready for Saints Falcons as well as LSU and Texas A&M on the hardwood. We're out of here for the weekend. Musso is going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Everybody have a safe and happy weekend. We'll see you for a full week of shows starting Monday. It's all the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. Why should you do business with First American Bank and Trust? Well, it's pretty simple. They've been at it for 116 years. They started up in 1910, and they're still cooking. They're your local bank. They're right here in Southeast Louisiana. And you go, what? I like the aspect of customer service. That's all well and good. But if you're a local bank, like, do you have the assets? Do you have what I need for my commercial loan? Well, absolutely. They got 25 locations. So no matter where you are, if you're right here around Baton Rouge, Jones Creek, Dutchtown, over I-12 to Hammond, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, even down to St. James, St. John, Lafourche Parish, there's a branch near you. And the people in those branches are part of your community. And the decisions that are made on those loans are made in your community. There's no call center in Atlanta. Every decision, every phone call runs through Southeast Louisiana at First American Bank and Trust. So go by and see them. Management team got a ton of experience, and they want to wish everybody a happy New Year's. First American Bank and Trust.